All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, on chapter 5 on Follow Me to Hell, um, the title is Impreso in, in, uh, in Spanish. The problem with Moses Austin last request was that he might not have actually discussed it with his son. And Stephen and 27 had already embarked on a career as lawyers studying in New Orleans. He had served in the Missouri Legislative Congress over there and with the territory soon to receive statehood. He contemplated returning to it. So Stephen may not have been thrilled at the prospect of assuming his father's place at the head of the herd of Anglos bound for what is still Spanish Texas. But then he thought upon the opportunity some more. Thanks to his father's business failure and over uh, optimistic venture, the Austin family was in debt. Stephen had debts of his own in Missouri that would not go away, disappeared overnight. Perhaps spending the next year or two holes up mosquito infested southern Louisiana, ruined his eyes while poring over musty law books was not all that appealing. Why not give Texas a try? When Stephen Austin arrived there in July 1821, he was better received by Governor Martinez than his father, and his first had first been. With the assistance of the economic yet steadfast Baron de Bestrap, he developed and proposed a plan that would provide each family in his group with 640 acres of land for grazing and farming. 340 acres of partial was riverfront on the lower Brazos and Colorado River with plenty of land to provide. And Martinez is hoping that Anglos would assume much of the protection against Indian raids. And the governor rubber stamped the update plan. The settlers would focus their efforts on the prairie, woodlands, and coastal plains of East Texas, inserting themselves by the Brazos, Colorado, and Trinity River, but most of them hailing from the deep south state of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Cotton would be primary crop, and the slaves they would no doubt bring them with them would assist in their labor. In the space of a few months, Austin had gone from fleet lawyer to bring a impresso. At the time being the colonization agent was the define of the term. Even lawfully in as this sound, it had to be still be beyond Austin's imagination that 15 years later he would be one of the leaders of independent Republic of Texas. That is, he would be if he lived long enough. That September, as Austin and several companions rode along aside the Colorado River, they were halted by a band of cowies. There were 15 men each smeared with alligator grease and carrying a long cedar bow with a quiver of arrows hanging from their shoulders. Speaking Spanish, the lad man asked Austin what he was doing in their territory. This was disturbing information because the Anglos had already heard about the tribe of cannibalism. Austin managed a brief explanation in response. The warrior, who called himself Coco, invited the Americans to the nearby Cowie camp. Austin was not inclined to be so friendly. He held his flintlock rifle tight, and a handful of men with him did the same. The standoff might have escalated, but Coco put down his bow and quiver. Then, making the scene almost surreal to Americans, 5 Cowie women, naked from the waist up, stepped into view. Austin concluded the conversation with Coco, and he and his men went on their way. Now, the espresso needed must was the colonists. This posed the challenge because Stephen did not have the leadership learned that Moses had as Noah Smithwick, who knew Austin as a young man and would later become a colonist in Texas Ranger. Describes Stephen dark hair's eyes, barely built, unassuming manner. There was little in Austin's outward appreciate to indicate the tremendous energy of which he was possessed. But the plan was bigger than the man. After Martinez gave the green light, Austin wrote a letter to Natchez in the New Orleans about migrating of the settlers returning from Texas and Natchez. Austin found dozens of letters from families already to sign up. The response was even more robust in New Orleans. The plan had developed was to charge each of the 300 families of participate in calculation. Predict Austin could clear close to 50,000 on recruitment effort. Texas was indeed the promised land. In New Orleans, Austin first went deeper into debt to purchase the lively schooner that would sell the first batch of colonists and supplies to their new home by March 1822. There were hundreds of colonists who were either cotton farmers or trying their hands in raising stock on their new homestead. Soon, they would have his own compact empire in the southwest of Texas. But the promising plan soon soared. Martinez rebelled that there had been a glitch in the trade, and the new nation's higher authorities in Mexico had not approved Austin's settlement plan. The governor suggests that they go there to in person plead his case on a horseback. Austin set off on a 1,000-mile trip and arrived at the end of April. Now, the problem was whom to plead his case to. The withdrawal of Spain colony government had left a power vacuum. In the process of trying to fill it was Austin, who Austin D. Inturbid, who bid to create a monarch head by, of course, the Emperor Austin the First. Now, the American Austin would have to cool his heels while the politics turmoil was resolved. Months went by, then more months, then seemingly endless delay by itself was very frustrating, but Austin had to also worry about the fate of the new colony in Texas. was carrying on, expanding, and would the colonies agree to leave if the Mexican government told him to? They was much relieved when finally in January 1823, Janot that went out, I can't say the name, Juanita that served the emperor legislature approved sweeping imperial colonization law, which covered Austin's venture. The wait was worth it, and the Texas colonists had been promised previously, and was peanuts compared to what the new law allowed each family received 4,428 acres for raised stock and 177 for farming. And Austin was granted over 97,000 acres. He was also to receive the windfall of 12.5 cents per acre granted to the colonists and $60 fee from each family on top of that. Austin's family fortune not only had been restored, but also were likely to be exceeded. The Mexican government was not being generous just to be generous. It simply did not have the money or other resources to prevent the Indian tribe in Texas from pillaging properties and killing Mexican citizens. The status was to let those new Texans become the prime target. With luck, they would prove to be Indian fighters and establish a buffer zone to keep the tribe at bay. If the Cowie or other tribes massacre the Angles, it would not be the Mexican target, just a lot of opportunity. Now, Stephen Austin could not wait to return to Texas. And then the Emperor Austin I was overthrown. Well, there's that one. I'll read chapter 6 another time. So, seems like this is where we get close to the rebellions of the Texas War, the Mexican War of 1847. So it sounds like we're getting closer to the war where it got started. Since these are kind of the true stories that it's in this book explaining. So hey, thanks for all coming. Appreciate it. And talk to you guys all later. Bye now.